Listen to the complete season ad-free by subscribing to Curious Cast Discovery, exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
Chellamuthu.
January 1980, and in Orem, Utah, Chellamuthu's got the tape recorder out again.
Chellamuthu. What?
His Tamil name is the last scrap left of his identity.
My Chellamuthu. Chellamuthu.
Every link to his family, every thread to his homeland has been torn away. Only his name remains.
Hi. My Chellamuthu.
It means beloved pearl, and he drops his name onto the tape repeatedly, like an anchor, like he's scrabbling to find a foothold in this slippery and unfamiliar new world.
My Chellamuthu. What is that?
He's lost everything. He has nothing else to lose, except for that one thing. And then?
Today was a very important day in your life. We chose your name, by the way.
Suddenly Chellamuthu wasn't good enough.
Because we thought the Chellamuthu was just too long. We didn't want you to have any additional problems.
In order to be accepted in a different environment, I had to change my name.
Your father and I gave you 3 choices.
My parents branded me with a new name.
It's a hybrid name, inspired by some pictures Fred and Linda Rowland find when they leaf through an old copy of National Geographic magazine and spot the Taj Mahal and the Khyber Pass. On the first page of the scrapbook that Linda carefully compiles for her new son, 2 entries are written in a childish hand. The first is a flourish of elaborate swirls and shapes. It's the name Chellamuthu, penned in the complex Tamil script. And underneath it, there's a faint outline of another word that's been shakily traced over. It reads, Taj.
So your name is now Taj Khyber Rowland.
Chellamuthu was forced to disappear.
Only 2 weeks after his arrival in the United States, Chellamuthu, beloved pearl, is written out of his own story. And 45 years later, Taj Khyber Rowland still mourns him.
Man, a grown man sitting here crying.
What's your name?
From Curious Cast and Blanchard House, this is Stop Rewind, The Lost Boy. I'm Emma Jane Kirby. Episode 4, A New Testament.
I want you to never forget it. If people somewhere along the line try to hurt you by making you feel that this isn't your country or that we are not your family, I want you to remember we chose you to come to our family and to never be worried about your differences.
With the Christmas holidays over, the other boys go back to school, but Linda and Fred decide to keep Taj, as he's now known, at home, just until he settles. So for a while it's just Taj, his new mum Linda, and the baby. And Linda records their days together in her audio diary.
We're so thankful for your strength. You're going to be a great joy to our family.
Taj adjusts slowly to American culture. He even chips in with chores, like helping to change baby Jerem's diaper.
And every time he's got a stinky diaper, you can run and tell me, Mama, kakus, kakus, baby kakus. That means the baby's pooed his pants.
But with no other common language between them, inevitably Taj tends to get things a little wrong.
I gave you a diaper of Jams to take to the garbage one day, and you had shake the poop out over the hill, and you'd throw the diaper over the hill. Sure enough, that's what you'd done.
Well, that's how they did it back home. Then there's the time when Taj tries to make breakfast.
We were in bed one morning, and we could hear somebody coming down the hall, and it was Taj. But he had 2 fish. He got them out of our aquarium.
The fish flapped weakly in his fist.
I don't know if he wanted to eat them or what, but he brought those into our bedroom to show us that he had caught them, thinking that that was good to do, you know.
Taj was baffled when Linda ran downstairs to take his catch back to the aquarium.
It was water all over the floor, everywhere, but he was so proud that he caught the 2 fish.
But most of the time, Taj feels like he's the fish out of water.
I honestly can say I think Taj was the first brown kid that we had had in this part of town, because we were just a white community, you know.
Linda describes in her audio diary how Taj is stared at in the street. The children point at him and call out.
Mommy, look at that boy. He's got a black face.
Taj is from South India, where most people have very dark skin. The white kids in Utah use the word black. Linda tries to rationalize it.
You're not used to seeing black children. Even though you're not completely black, you're just very, very dark brown.
And at home, Taj's 4-year-old brother Joshua is scared of him.
Josh would not have a bath with Taj because he was afraid that the dark skin would come off on him. He didn't like to touch him or get near him because he was afraid he'd turn black.
But Taj's 6-year-old brother Rux isn't fazed at all by Taj. He already has 2 adopted brothers, so he's kind of used to new siblings rocking the boat. The skin tone's immaterial.
It was just kind of normal life, you know? Blended family. Obviously, he was my brother, so... this is more thinking into it than I've done in my whole life.
Rux does recall Taj's fear.
I do remember him showing up into the house, couldn't speak English. You know, it was just scary for him, even though it's completely not normal, right? For us, it was.
But for Taj, nothing is normal. The whole household baffles him. Why some things are allowed and others aren't.
And it was so painful, rules and regulations and all that.
And who are these people telling him what to do anyway?
And people were forcing me to do things that just I didn't want to do.
He hated Fred and I. He did not like us at all. But it's just because he got tired of being pushed around, you know?
Because Linda can't explain to Taj why he has to go to bed when he's not tired, why he has to tidy the toys if he's not done playing with them, why he has to go to the dentist.
And I would have to discipline him, and it was hard sometimes.
Linda hated being strict with him.
We had to do it. We had to do it. Because I had to watch him when we were in a store. He would steal. I can't have him do that, you know? And everybody's looking at him anyway because he's so different.
And it broke Linda's heart when she made him cry.
Imagine what this little boy is thinking. Here he is, around the world, and not a friend. I mean, he's by himself, literally. We would think about that so often.
All Linda wants is for this child to feel secure and loved. But Taj shuns her.
This iron little soldier, that's what we used to kind of call him, because he was stiff and hard. He didn't touch hardly anybody.
I didn't even consider them family, and I didn't even think about them as brothers. That's not my brother. My brother and sisters are somewhere that I can't get back to.
Linda's desperate for her new son to love her, for him to give her just one hug even.
I can't. My love is already given. And it's difficult to love something new when all you think about is what you loved
At this stage, Taj only speaks Tamil, so he can't tell Linda that his heart's in India with his own family, all those miles, all that long plane ride away.
Airplane, five airplane. Mommy and Daddy.
But every day, Taj picks up a few more words of English, and very soon he'll have enough vocabulary to drop a bombshell on the Rowlands. By mid-February 1979, Taj has started elementary school, something, of course, that Linda records in her audio diary.
I decided to start you in first grade. Mrs. Harding is your teacher, and she's already called me and said what a joy you were to have in class and how impressed she was.
Taj is kind of big for first grade. Doctors guess his age to be around 8. Some put him closer to 9. But without basic English, Taj has to start from scratch.
She thought that you were going to be a very special little boy. You're eager to learn. You're excited. You don't know the language, of course. You're very difficult to understand. She also thought that you're very intelligent, which is sure nice to know.
Looking and sounding so different means that while Taj may be the teacher's pet, he's not so popular with classmates.
He had a couple of scrapes to begin with. Kids didn't want to play with him.
So that's when Taj's adoptive father steps in. Fred's a high school biology teacher, but he's also a sports coach. And he decides to enroll Taj in soccer and in the school wrestling team to try to boost his confidence.
He didn't know what he was doing, but he was having fun.
In fact, the whole sport thing's a triumph.
Yeah, he didn't speak English, but Taj really was an athletic kid.
That's Mike Graves, Taj's first real friend in America. Like Taj, Mike also stuck out a bit at school because he had a kind of speech impediment.
I had such a deep, gravelly voice as a kid, and so for teachers and students to understand me, they put me in a speech therapy class.
So Mike finds himself sitting next to Taj.
The bond between the two of us at that time really just sparked there because I've always kind of had that protector with Taj.
So when Taj tries out for wrestling, Mike follows suit.
I got into wrestling and his dad was our coach, and that was the beginning of a lifelong friendship.
But it's not just a friend Taj wins through wrestling. Because after a couple of weeks, Fred enters Taj into a little tournament where Taj comes third. And he wins a ribbon, a medal. Linda stuck a photograph of Taj holding his medal in his scrapbook. He's beaming with pride. Linda's not sure he gets the whole prize concept, but he definitely knows he's done something good.
I can remember him looking at the medal. I said, "What do you want to do with your medal? Where do you want? You can take it to your room. Yeah, it's yours."
But Taj doesn't want to take it to his room. He follows Linda round the house with it, holding his medal out in front of him.
And he pointed to me, and I said, "No, it's not Mom's medal. It's your medal."
But Taj shakes his head. He stretches his arms in front of him, as if he's trying to push the air far away from his body.
I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Mum."
Linda puts the laundry basket down to face Taj.
I said, "Are you saying Mom?" And he nodded his head, "Mom." I said, "No, it's not my medal. It's your medal." And he said, "Mom," and then would move his hand out like he was throwing it away.
Linda tries to take Taj's hand, but he shakes her off. She knows he's trying to tell her something really important.
He said, "Mum."
Linda's mind begins to race. Who is Mum if it isn't her?
"Not me." He'd shake his head like no, and then he'd say, "Mum."
But Linda knows that Taj can't have any memories of his mum because Chellamuthu's birth mother and his birth father died when Chellamuthu was just a few months old. Linda knows this because the orphanage owner, Paul Thurvados, gave her documents that spelled it out. Official documents stamped by the court. But then Paul Thurvados has lied before. He swore Chellamuthu was only 3, when he's actually closer to 9. Suddenly, Linda's not sure she wants to understand. Taj waits, looking at her, expectantly, his medal still thrust in front of him.
I can remember standing there for several minutes.
Linda takes a deep breath. Then she tries one last time.
I said, "Me? No. Mom."
Linda kneels down in front of Taj. She looks straight into his dark eyes.
And I said, "You have a mom? You have a mom? Your mom?"
And very slowly, Taj nods.
Mum. Mum. You know, I just remember those things just burning my insides.
Okay, Taj, in this is a special document that came with you from Mr. Thurvados, okay? And this is by the order of the court in India, okay? According to this...
Utah, spring 1980. It's been a few weeks since Linda Rowland made the awful discovery that the orphan she adopted from India has a mother who's somewhere in India, alive and well.
It says that your mother died about 3 years ago, prior to your coming.
Linda repeatedly quizzes Taj on tape. She's desperate for some answers to this dreadful story. But Taj's English is still patchy, and he can't fill in all the blanks.
And it names your mother. It says, Mein Esh Kamel. You ever heard that name before? Mein Esh Kamel?
Nobody had been honest with us. They had all lied to us.
What again was your mother's name? Alright.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
So we know these papers are just all goofed up and not worth a cent.
Linda and Fred are furious, and furious with themselves. Why did they go it alone instead of using an LDS-approved adoption agency? But more than anything, Linda feels grief. Her son Taj is not hers.
I was so sad.
And she's haunted by thoughts of Taj's birth mother. She imagines Arai crying for Chellamuthu, scouring India for her beloved pearl. And Linda aches for her.
Because I'm a mom, and I think how terrible it would be if you just had one of your kids disappear someday. However it happened, it was so unfair to her. She got robbed.
And Linda still doesn't know how Taj became separated from his mother, or how he ended up at Paul Thurvados's orphanage. Of course, she and Fred telephone Paul via the cement factory next to the orphanage. But Paul tells them only that 2 boys brought Taj to Lincoln Home, and then plays dumb.
I said, "This kid was taken out of his family." And he said, "I don't know anything about that."
The Rowlands' follow-up calls go unanswered. All of them. Just like their letters and their telegrams. He's ghosted them.
He just wouldn't supply me any answers. He never did. He just shut it down. We could never get an answer from Paul.
You really don't know how old you are. No, but Paul Thurvados said 3. Paul Thurvados said you were 3. Yeah. When you were going to come here. Yeah. Okay. Well, we know that that's really not true now.
With every passing day, Taj becomes a little more fluent in English. So the sketchy picture the Rowlands have of their adopted son begins to fill out.
And he told us, "Yeah, I have a dad."
My daddy drinks, and my daddy
They learn about his father's heavy drinking.
And I have a sister and brother and mom and dad, and I was little, my brother was big.
They learn about Taj's big brother Silver Edge, his little sister, his baby brother whom he watched for his mom, just like he does with his adopted baby brother Jerem.
I was truthfully very upset and very mad and very everything.
My mom gave me money and for we buy things to eat, and that's how I know about my mom.
We felt very, very guilty. Fred said, Linda, we didn't know. He tried to console me, but I couldn't be consoled over that.
Finally, the whole truth comes out.
They took me on the bus to the orphanage.
I was just floored.
Pulled his hands off, and he put tight in my mouth, and
He what?
he put
his hand tight on your mouth.
yeah.
This is illegal. This is bad. He's kidnapped.
Kidnapped. Not only is their new son not an orphan, he's also been stolen. Linda and Fred feel sick with horror. But what can they actually do? Paul is no longer responding, so they're at a loss. Don't forget, it's only 1980. There's no internet, just encyclopedias and National Geographic. So the Rowlands start to write letters to anyone who might be able to help them trace Taj's family. Linda finds a Tamil-speaking doctor on the other side of Utah. But
They couldn't even communicate. He said, do you know that there are 2,000 dialects in India? 2,000.
then someone gives her the name of a university professor from India who lives near the orphanage. He's a Mormon convert who might know Paul. So she writes him a long letter begging for a steer on how to move forward. She does get a polite reply and a promise he'll try to meet Paul and ask him, but there are no real leads.
He said, I can't give you any information. He made that very clear that he did not have any information.
As Linda struggles, Taj waits expectantly, waiting for Linda to make this right.
He would say, I want to go home back to India. I've got to go back and see if my mom's still there. I can remember him saying that.
At bedtime, Linda sits in Taj's room and watches him sleep. She can't sleep anymore. She feels useless.
How I feel, it wasn't just one night, believe me. It was lots of nights.
She feels so guilty for loving this child, who she now knows isn't hers to love. As Taj waits, Linda deliberately keeps him busy, trying to keep his mind off the pain. There's school, church, scouts, and soccer.
Even though I couldn't speak, I'd played sports. I was a little bit faster than everybody else. And so I'd focus more on things that I could control and I knew. I was a kid running around in the streets. I had some street smarts.
Taj now has just about enough English to confide in a friend, like his pal Mike. But he doesn't really share.
He never told me about his family in India.
In fact, Taj doesn't breathe a word of his story to anyone.
He never told me about being kidnapped as a kid and then going through that trauma. But, Taj, he kind of suppressed those memories.
Instead, Taj just tells adventure stories about his past life. Impersonal, safe stories.
I do remember little stories when we were younger about the tigers and the snakes in India, but I don't ever remember having the conversations with him as far as family.
Because the only thing Taj has left are his memories. And they're private, far too precious to share.
I kept all my feelings. I stopped sharing because that's my personal security, right? That's my story. And so I didn't share that with anybody. And I felt like nobody cared.
Taj dives headfirst into soccer, but on the sidelines, Linda and Fred are in turmoil.
If I could have found his mother, I'm sure we would have sent him back. I'm sure we would have. Because I couldn't stand what happened to him.
But they can't find Taj's parents, and they can't stay in limbo forever. Taj is just a little boy after all. He needs structure, a loving family, a new life. So the Rowlands call time.
Because it was too late. So we had to just close that chapter and move on.
Taj has been here about 8 months. We've just played side wing of his tape, and I've tried to get him to interpret some of the things that he's said. But most of the things he cannot understand. He's already forgotten his tonal language.
It's the summer of 1980, and Taj has just been baptized into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He's totally disoriented. His two worlds, India and the United States, spin around each other, blurring together, then brutally separating. And Taj can't make any sense of it.
My entire identity was taken from me.
First his name, now his language has slipped away, making everything meaningless.
Even when he could speak English, he could talk, but he couldn't think American.
Taj still doesn't really get why he's with the Rowlands.
Like I know he didn't understand adoption. He thought he was going to be a slave.
A slave?
Helping you is what he called it, helping you. And I said, no, you're our son. You're not a helper. You're our son.
But Taj doesn't want to be the Rowlands' son. He believes it's their fault. He's in this mess.
And I said, we did not buy you to take you away from your mother, but we did not know at all.
In her audio diary, Linda tearfully records their painful discussions.
And yes, we did buy you from Paul, but your terms of buying and our terms are not quite the same. Buying just means that we had to pay money to get you to our country.
It was the time he was blaming us, because I think he really thought we were going after him, that we'd been told we could buy a child in India, and that was it.
Then Taj begins to have nightmares about his birth mother, that she's in trouble.
I heard you told me that you had nightmares dreaming about your mother. You dreamed that she was starving in India. For many, many nights, you've had nightmares, worrying and thinking about it.
I asked myself why these kind of things happened to me and what did I do wrong. I think those ideas, they clamor around your head when you're a child.
Taj is tortured with guilt.
I think there's a lot of self-blame that came about, and, maybe if I was a better kid or, you start asking questions about how you could have changed the situation.
It was quite obvious to me that you were not happy actually here, and I asked you. I said, you would rather go home, wouldn't you? And you said yes.
The months roll by, and Taj still can't settle.
I'm going to tell you, it was not easy. And so many times we thought, I don't think we're going to be able to turn this around to where it's good for everybody.
Linda's pain bleeds onto the tape.
And you said, yes, I miss my mother. I love my mother. I want my mother. Well, this is obviously very hard on me. I didn't quite know how to react. I was sad. I was hurt. I didn't know how to help you.
I still remember crying at night, wishing to go back. But there's a point where I had to just shut those memories off and just throw them away, knowing that it will never happen.
That moment is perfectly recorded.
Today is September 13th, 1981. I've been here almost 2 years. I'm going to tell you about my family.
Chellamuthu concedes defeat and gives way to the all-American Taj.
I chose to become a different person, a person that I was expected to be.
In my family, my oldest sister She got married, and she got divorced, and got married again.
It's not just Taj's identity that's fracturing. His memories are also beginning to splinter. Taj doesn't have an older sister.
And a big brother that is about 10 or 12.
The memories were washed away, and I was unable to remember anymore.
I hope that I can go back and see my family again, and I hope I can bring them over here and teach them English and about the church.
And this is the point where Linda's audio diary stops. There are no more recordings of Chellamuthu or of Taj.
There's just no way those two, Chellamuthu and Taj, could ever be living together. They just can't. It's just two worlds apart, and so one had to die or be shut off for the other to survive.
But there's a problem with shutting stuff off. Things have a nasty habit of bubbling back up when you least expect them to. You've been listening to Stop Rewind, The Lost Boy, a Blanchard House production for Curious Cast. It's hosted, written and produced by me, Emma Jane Kirby, with additional production by Himat Shalagram. Stop Rewind, The Lost Boy is inspired by the book The Orphan Keeper by Cameron Wright. We'd like to make it clear that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has never promoted or facilitated the adoption of children from Paul Thurvedos's orphanage, Lincoln Home for Homeless Children. On the Ground interpreting by Smita TK. Additional research by Catherine Gillon. Original music by Toby Matamong, Louis Nankmanel and Daniel Lloyd Evans. Sound design and mix engineering by Volkan Kiseltuk, Daniel Lloyd Evans, Toby Matamong and Louis Nankmanel. Post-production supervised by Daniel Lloyd Evans. The creative director of Blanchard House is Rosie Pye. The head of content at Blanchard House is Lawrence Grizel. For Blanchard House, the executive producers are Amika Shortino-Nolan and Lawrence Grizel. For Curious Cast, the executive producers are Dida Velasquez and Chris Duncombe.